Okay, I want to go through how to do the analysis for activity 4 in Excel. I'll just reiterate that you don't have to use Excel to do this part of the activity, but I think it makes it easier. And I also think Excel is a good tool to get to learn. It's not good for statistics, but it's actually pretty good for manipulating data, cleaning up data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of explain what this file represents. I'm going to add a column here, and this is the person who responded to this quiz. So this is the data from the quiz for activity 4, and these are the responses for the first person. So the first person decided that the O-rings in box 1 were cold, the O-rings in box 2 were non-cold, and so on. And this is the responses for the first person for all 16 boxes. These are their decisions. And this is the second person, and so on. A little trick you can use if you want to create a sequence. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say equals 1 plus, and I'm going to click up here, and notice that this will put a 4 in here. But Excel has this really cool option called a drag down command. In other words, when you drag down this command, for the second column, it does the same set of instructions. If you look at this row that I just computed, it says take whatever was in the row above it and add 1. And now when I drag it down, and the way I do that is I put my cursor right here, and when I put it right at the lower right-hand corner, you see that little flat small cross that appears. I'm going to drag it down. And when I click in this cell, notice what it did. It added 1 to whatever was above it. And so this drag down feature of Excel is really nice. And in this way, I'm going to create a sequence that has all 30 people in the class. Okay. So these are the 30 people who responded to the quiz. And now what I want to do is I want to organize and count up the number of guesses they made. What I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to take off these. These aren't particularly useful. When you want to delete a column, you can click at the top on the letter there. And if you want to delete more than one column, you can hold down Control and now click on the other column, and it'll select that also. And now I can say delete, and it gets rid of both of those columns. Now here's what I'm going to do to make life a little easier. What I want to do is I want to look at reality versus what we decided, okay? So first we have to look at what those boxes actually were. And this was something that I gave out in class, you might remember, okay? I gave out this list of what these different things were. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to make up some things. Again, I'm not using the exact data set from class, but let's suppose that this was reality. This was actually the box that came from the cold, and this was the box that came from the non-cold, cold, and I need 8 cold and 8 non-cold. So I'm going to put in the 8 cold first. Whoops. So what I'm saying is that the O-rings in box 1 were actually cold. So this is reality right here. So I have 1, 2, 3. We'll make this one 4. I'll put 1 down here. 5. Whoops. 6. Okay. 7, and we'll say 8. Okay. So let's just suppose that my 8 boxes that had the cold O-rings were in those. And now I'm going to go ahead and just make the rest non-cold. And again, yours will be different. I'm only doing this just to illustrate how to do the calculations. I'm going to let you do them on your own. Okay. And so here's what I want to do. I want to count up the number of correct and incorrect decisions, okay? And in fact, just to make this a little easier to kind of work with, I may color code these a little differently. So I'm going to select this one. Actually, what I'm going to do is this. I'm just going to highlight this whole thing, and I'm going to copy and paste it. So I'm going to highlight all of the yellow cells, and I'm just going to say Control C to copy. And I'm going to go over a little bit, and I'm going to paste them here. I'm just going to hit Control V. Okay. And the reason why I did that is I want to separate the cold from the non-cold. So what I'm going to do is delete all of the non-cold, select the first column, hit Control, select the second column. And again, yours will be different because there were different boxes that were non-cold and cold. Okay. So this is only going to leave me with, you got to be careful. Let me try it again. If you click off of the box in a way that Excel doesn't like, it won't let you do the Control Select. Okay. Yeah, see I just did it there. Let's see if it lets me do this. Okay. And now I'm just going to say delete. I'm going to right click and say delete. And notice now that I have all 8 boxes that are cold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I'm going to put all the non-cold boxes over here. So I'm going to select the first box that's cold, the second box, and so on. And get rid of all the cold and only have the non-cold on this side. Okay. There's a cold. Okay. And so now we have the non and the non-cold and the cold separated. All right. So I have my 8 cold boxes on the left and my 8 non-cold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side. And what I want to do is I want to count the number of correct and incorrect guesses. So I'm going to put correct down here. And I'm going to hit incorrect, enter incorrect here. And so what I want Excel to do now is I wanted to count the number of decisions that were cold here. So notice we can count them by hand, right? So the number of people who guessed, who decided correctly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So in this data set that I made up, 17 of the 30 people guessed correctly. And of course, since there's 30 people, 13 decided incorrectly. Now notice that I could do this for each column, but it's very time consuming. And so it turns out Excel gives us a really nice way to do this. It has this thing called a COUNTIF command. Okay. And notice when you start typing a command, there's this autofill. I'm just going to click on COUNTIF. And now what you have to do is you have to tell Excel where you want Excel to search. So what Excel is going to do is Excel is going to count the number of times a certain event occurs in a cell. So first I have to tell it what cells to search over. So I'm going to highlight all of these cells right here. Okay, these are the decisions for box 1. And now I'm going to tell Excel what to search for. And whenever I want Excel to search for letters, I always put quotation marks. And I can just put cold. You can put an equal sign, but you don't have to. So this is telling Excel, count the number of times the word cold appears in cells B2 through B31. And it's 17. Now notice I can do this drag over command, okay? If I put it here, what Excel will do is Excel will count the number of times cold occurred in each column as I drag it over. And now if I want the number of incorrect, all I have to do is say it's 30 minus whatever the number of correct decisions were, because I had 30 decisions, and so if 17 was the number of correct decisions, 30 minus 17 has to be the number of incorrect. And again, I can use this drag over command. It's very nice. And now I want to sum the number, the totals, okay? So I'm going to put total for the cold, and I'm going to use a command called sum. Okay. And when I click on that, notice that there's an open parentheses, and that's Excel waiting for me to tell it what to add up. And I'm just going to hit enter, and I can do the same down here. I can use this drag down command. So this is telling me in my data set there were 117 correct decisions for the cold boxes and 123 incorrect. All right. If I want the total for the non-cold now, oops, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this last one here, and I'm going to cut and paste it. So I'm going to go to that cell, highlight it, then come up here and say Control X, Control V, and hit enter. And now I'm going to paste this command down here. Except what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the cell entries. So notice that now I want to search over L. I'm going to make this L and make this L31. And so now what it did was it counted the number of cold, but again, I want non-cold, so I have to change this part also. So I had to change what cells it was searching over, and notice it actually highlights the cells that it's searching over to count up the number of times non-cold occurs. And it's going to count the number of times non-cold occurs in those cells. And you can see it's 19 times. And we can verify that, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So the number of times that people decided that the box contained non-cold O-rings for box 2 was 19. And again, I can drag this over like this. All right. And this tells me the number of correct decisions for all the boxes that contain non-cold O-rings. And now to get the incorrect, of course, I'm just going to subtract that from 30 and drag this over like this. And now I'm going to sum these up. And I'm going to do this right here. The number of correct decisions for the non-cold boxes is all these entries. And I can drag this down, and this will give me the number of incorrect. And this is literally my table right here. If you look at this carefully, okay? This is actually what you're going to enter directly into activity 4. Okay, I hope that helped and you enjoyed learning a little bit about Excel. It has some really nifty commands, and I like the way it can manipulate data. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to ask me, and I'll just reemphasize the fact that Excel also has the benefit that it's probably one of the most well-documented programs. If you have a question, you can go on YouTube and look up anything. And in fact, usually when I am trying to figure out how to do something, I watch a YouTube video because it's just much, much easier. All right, thank you very much for watching.